So fam, as an extra bonus for this 47 parish pilgrimage, I always like to talk to people uh, who who I admire in their walk of faith. So this is a second try at doing this interview with Kimberly. And I do have to confess, there's another one that's like an hour long. It's super cool, but it has no audio because
And I just got a haircut that day too.
and I messed up. And she drove all the way to the studio. And so this time we came over here. So welcome back.
Thanks.
And this
Happy to
time
be
we
back.
have sound.
I'm so glad. I was thinking, I was like, if this doesn't get sound again, I'm not recording it again.
She's not going to talk to me
It's not
again.
meant to be. The Lord doesn't want it.
So anyways, from our previous conversation, there's some things in there that I just was like floored. I didn't realize in your journey, but I really want to focus on your journey to where you're going
Okay.
and from where you came from. But first, tell us who you are, because some of the people out there, I know very few, don't know who you are.
So I'm Kim. I've been here parishioner at St. Joseph's for my whole life. I've never known another parish. So I'm going to be 23 in 2 weeks. So I've been here for 23 years, just about. I'd say 20 or 21 because we moved out to Upland when I was like 2. I altar served growing up, and after my confirmation, I became a lector. Always super involved, volunteered a lot during the pandemic, helped with live streaming the masses with my mom and the parish staff. Eventually, I became a staff member. I was communication secretary, so I did bulletin, website, social media, you name it, I was making it. Helped a lot during the centennial year. Then helped found the young adult ministry, the Yomis.
The Yomis.
Yes. I had lots and lots of help, and after 2 years of running it, I have decided to step down just because my life is changing. And
So who's the new coordinator now?
so it's a group of 3 girls. It's Bella, Jocelyn, and Amanda. I think they're like super duper capable. They're wonderful. They have huge hearts. Couldn't be more thankful for them and like the ministry. So they took over about like 2 months ago, and yeah, they're doing a great job. And actually tonight is my last Yomis meeting before I enter the convent.
Wait.
So a little quietly.
Just slip that right in there. I'm like, okay, listening, and then convent?
Yeah. So I have been accepted to enter the candidacy program with the Carmelite Sisters of the Most Sacred Heart of Los Angeles. It is kind of like the first step of formation. I like to call it like a trial year. Doesn't count actually towards your time like in the convent, like when they're counting your years for your jubilee. That's when you enter postulancy. So this year is still have my phone, my clothes, my car, but I will be living on convent grounds and working in an apostolate with the sisters.
So the Carmelite Sisters that you're entering into, it's not cloistered.
No, so we are contemplative actives.
Okay. So what's the difference? For some people out there, it's like, I think she's entering to the Carmelites. We always think, they're nuns, they're cloistered, we'll never see her again.
Yeah, no, so that's I think why this order and this community like really called out to me, because I was looking for, I don't think I knew what I was looking for, but then when I realized like how contemplative they are, but also still an active ministry, like we have schools, we work in healthcare, and we have a retreat house. And actually I've been blessed for the past year and a half, to work as a staff member at the retreat house. So I did development, which is my easy way of explaining is like fundraising, event planning, and building donor relationships. So that was like hand in hand with my discernment, but I tried to keep those things separate, because like, work and personal life. But I mean, in that sense, it's impossible to like separate it. So 2 weeks ago was my last day, just to give myself some time to like get ready and pack, because my job position needs to be full-time, the development position, and candidates only work part-time. So we get paid as part-time employees for the year, working in the different apostolates wherever we're assigned, and then we learn the lives of the sisters, and yeah. So I won't get assigned to the retreat house because I already know the retreat house. I don't know where I'm going, but I know it's not there.
And as you said, it's contemplative and active, and that is totally you. That is totally you.
I'm so glad.
Because literally, I could not see you as just being cloistered and.
You know what? That when I started discerning religious life, that was like my first like box that I would cross. I was like, not doing cloister, because like I know myself and I know the personality God gave me, and I'm too social to be like separated out. So I think this, and like working with the sisters has like deepened my love for the contemplative active life of like everything that they do comes from their life of prayer. There's not one thing that we don't do that prayer isn't integrated into it. We will open work meetings with prayer. We will close with prayer. We will pray over our food, like if we're eating all together, and they teach us their meal grace song, and we very valued in the like, we value community and bringing Christ into every aspect that we can. The motto of the retreat house is to drawing closer to the heart of Christ.
Every action is prayer.
Mm-hmm.
Every action, every reaction is prayer.
Mm-hmm.
And that is completely you. And knowing you these past few years, the most vibrant person, crazy. But you live out truly an example of joy. You're joyful about everything. I'm sure not everything is perfect in life, but there's this spirit about you that just brings people closer to Christ, and I really admire that. Now, why did you choose, the Carmelites? There's so many other orders.
I think they chose me because
I'm not saying brown is your color, but
well, okay. Funny thing, when I was discerning religious life, when I first brought it up to my spiritual director, she was like, are you, like, maybe you just need more Catholic friends. And I was like, you know what? That's probably so valid. Because I did not have at the time, many Catholic friends who were like practicing, very active in their faith, and they didn't go to church, they didn't participate in ministries. And like, I grew up super entrenched in like the community. So I'm like, and I was struggling finding people my age. She was like, maybe you just need more Catholic friends. And I was like, okay. And then I went to like LA, Orange, to all their like youth or young adult things. And then that's when we started building Yomis here. And I grew immensely in Catholic friends, and there was still something missing. And we went to that like film that they came out with, the like I Thirst.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Okay, so when they were like filming all that for the like documentary, they were putting together retreats for young adults. And there was one in March of 2023 at the Santiago Retreat Center. And I met the Vietnamese order, the Lovers of the Holy Cross. I met their vocations director, Sister Kim, and started hanging out with that community a lot and going to the different come and see events. And I eventually went on like a 6-day discernment retreat with them. And I realized then that like the Lord was calling me to religious life, but just not that community. I felt more tied to like their vocations director, Sister Kim, like more tied to her as like a friend than like the community. So I was like, okay, this is where the Lord is. This is the life the Lord wants me to lead, but just not with this community. And so I wasn't tied to like, I didn't feel like attached to their charism, and nothing really spoke to me. And then the Carmelite Sisters have this program called Handmaidens, which is like a once a month thing put together by the vocations team, where they host it at a different apostolate every month, and it is for young ladies 18 to like 35 who like are kind of discerning, and single young ladies, and then it's evening prayer with the sisters, dinner, a talk, and then adoration. And one of my friends that I had made, Christy, she started taking me to Handmaidens, and that's how I kind of got like to know the sisters a little bit. And then since I was on their email list because I was going to Handmaidens, I saw they were having a discernment retreat, and my spiritual director had given me kind of like the homework of visit and get to know like 3 or 4 different communities. So I already knew the Lovers of the Holy Cross, and I was like, okay. And then the Carmelites. And the funny thing is with that is like there's a lot of kind of like prep that goes into like attending the retreat period. And I got off the phone with one of the sisters, and I was like, and I know her now, and so I'm like, it's crazy to even think that I thought that, but she's kind of serious. She's very serious when you first get to know her, or when you first meet her, and then she's like a total goofball. I love her. And so I got off the phone with her, and I was like, she hates me. They're too serious. I don't think I'm gonna have a good time in this retreat. I don't think this community is for me. And then two of my friends, like close friends, were also going on the retreats. We like carpooled together, and I kind of came into the mindset of, well, like I don't think there's anything here for me. If anything, I'm here to like intercede for my friends, right? I get there, and the first night, at the end of the day, there was just something in my heart that said like, I'm meant to be here. Like I'm home. And I was like, girl, get it together. Like, like when you're on retreat, you have that like retreat high. And I was like, this is just retreat high, like starting real early. Like if this is even here when I wake up in the morning, I'll address it. But like if not, if I wake up and I don't feel that feeling, whatever. And then throughout the week, like learning about their charism and like their ministries, especially the history of the community, like how they came to be founded. We can get into that later. I love to talk about our mother foundress, and feeling like really connected to our mother foundress, and that feeling of like I'm home, I'm meant to be here, just kept like coming. Like the feeling never went away. It got stronger and stronger, and I got to know like a bunch of the sisters, and they're also like just a bunch of goofballs. Like some are serious, some are silly, some like have super lofty, like very theological thoughts, and some are just like super duper simple. Like, and realizing that like, because here's the thing, I didn't grow up with religious around. Like the sisters were here at the school, but they weren't like traditionally habited at the time, and I didn't come to this school. I went to public school my whole life. I didn't come to St. Joseph's School. So like the parish kids, like,
What do you mean by traditionally habited?
like think of the Carmelites now. It was very like a little vest and a skirt. So like growing up, I knew that they were like, okay, this is sister so and so, but it didn't register to me until I was older that like, oh, they were proper religious. So I didn't really grow up with religious around, and I was like, oh, the habit. Like people say like, nun, and like you think of a nun in a habit, especially because like all the scary movies and stuff. So that's a different soapbox. But we won't get into that today. But so I was like a little intimidated at first with like the habits and all these things, but like the joy that like radiated from them, and like how they just welcome you in, and it's so like spiritual motherhood is so real for them. They like really live that out, and that like I don't know, like I was like, this is where I'm home.
Found your community.
Yeah, and then like just, and this was really smart of them. At the end of the retreat, the vocations team was like, okay, great retreat, girls. If you feel called to continue discerning with our community, don't hit us up for like 2 to 3 weeks. Stay at home, stay in your communities, keep praying, then we can talk. Like they were very aware of the like retreat high phenomenon, and they're like, come down from that. If you're still feeling it, call us.
Wow.
2 weeks to the day after the retreat, they had handmaidens back at the retreat house, and me and my friends piled into a car. We all went out, and as soon as we pulled in through the driveway, because it's a long driveway, you have to pass like the house, the chapel, the retreat wing, and then you're in the parking lot. Again, that feeling of I'm home, I am where I need to be. And then at the end of that night, I went up to the vocations directress and I was like, I want to discern with this community. Tell me, how do we get, like, where do we go from here? And she's like, whoa, okay. And then started meeting with her monthly. And then so that retreat was in December of 2023. Started meeting with sister in like January of the next year, 2024. I got the job with the sisters in March. I began in March of 2024. And then I started my application for candidacy in like November, December of this past year. And on May 30th of this year, 2025, I was told that I've been accepted into the candidacy program.
Are you excited or nervous or?
There's a lot of emotions, I think. Definitely a little nervous, but overall like more excited. I was telling a lot of people are asking me that, like, are you nervous? Are you nervous? Because I leave in like 4 days. I leave on Saturday. Today's Tuesday. And a lot of people are asking me, like, are you nervous? And for me, like, yeah, a little bit. And knowing myself, I expected myself to be like really worked up about it, like freaked out about it. But there's just this overwhelming sense of peace of like, I'm going where God wants me to go. Like,
It's so beautiful.
And if for whatever reason, like I don't continue forward, that he still meant for me to be here at this time.
So, was it always growing up you wanted to be in a religious?
So, yes and no. So I am a first generation child. So my parents immigrated from Cuba in the mid 90s, had my brother, a few years later had me. So the expectation for us was always, and like rightfully so, to have what they didn't have. So the
That's
way
the
I like,
immigrant dream.
yeah. So the way I like kind of minimize it is like, go to college, get a good job, buy mom house on the beach. And I worked towards that. I got a college degree. I got my bachelor's in criminology, bachelor's of science in criminology. I graduated from University of Laverne in 2.5 years. And but growing up, there was from time to time there was a thought of like, I want to be a nun, but that'd be great. But it wasn't like a life I like allowed myself to think was possible, because it's like, what do you mean the life of poverty? Like, the whole point of my parents coming to the U.S. was to give us a good life, and we could have the success that they weren't like didn't have the opportunity to have. And once I did do all that, was and like they never pressured me of like, you have to do it like this, but that was the pressure I put on myself. And I worked in the criminal justice field for about a year and a half, and it was killing me. I hated it. Maybe it was the company I was working for, different factors. But then when the retreat house job opened up, I like jumped at the bit, and I have been so happy. And I think also a part of it is like, the regular comments that like parents make of like, oh, we need more priests, but not my son.
Yeah.
We need more religious, but not my daughter. Or like one that really bugs me is, somebody was talking about it recently. Whatever. I talk to so many people. Me, a chatterbox. Or when people do like, oh, that young man is so handsome. What a shame that he's in the seminary. And that always rubbed me so wrong. So it wasn't like something that was like, it wasn't a life that was like offered to me until I let myself like think about it. So yeah.
Yeah, because, what I always wanted to ask people who have family members who are religious, or entering into religious life, is that it's not just simply affecting you, but it's a family decision.
It is.
And so I wanted to ask is, did you have that conversation with your parents, and how was their reaction to that?
So when I started like discerning, my parents were like split up. So it was just like at first that transition and things like that with my mom. So when I started discerning, it was like November of 2021. That's when I really felt the call, like knife, like spear to my heart, and I was like, oh, I need to live a different life. But that was when I was like 3/4 of the way through my degree, and I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna finish that, whatever. And like I didn't even know at that point like what God was calling me to. I thought I was being called to be like a deacon's wife, like married but super like involved in the church. Because we have like a flourishing, I feel like, diaconate here at the parish, that I was just like, oh yeah, like whatever. And then I think just where we were at that time, my mom was very like surprised and just kind of like, so are you gonna drop out of college? I was like, nope, I'm almost done. I'm not gonna do that. And then I kind of like put that on the back burner because I went and did an internship in Washington, D.C. So I lived in D.C. for a number of months. And then that's how I started working with the criminal justice organization. And then when I came home from that, I like saw a spiritual director, and I was like, oh, because my mom and I had to, like, we made a deal because she wanted me to go get my master's. I didn't want to, because I was like, well, if I'm obviously unhappy already in this like line of work, why would I get a master's in it? And I was like, well, if I get a master's in something else, like, what am I gonna get? Like, I don't know, there was nothing. I was like, I don't feel the need right now to like go back to school. So she was like, fine, we could do like a little gap year type thing of like working and then also discerning and like seeing what's up. When I came home from DC, that was because their young adult ministry was like flourishing. So they really helped like foster my prayer life and like uplift me in that sense. And so that's when I came home and I was like, I think I'm being called to religious life. And so it took my mom a while, I think, but it's like super understandable for her to kind of come to terms with like, maybe I won't get married and have kids and things like that. Because, and then even with my like aunts and uncles and cousins, like I guess the running assumption was like, if anybody's gonna have 10 kids, it's gonna be Kim. Just because like our family, like extended family, is like huge. We're super tight knit, and I'm the one who plans a lot of things for the cousins to get together, and like I'm that little like rock. And so they were like kind of freaking out, like, well, what are we gonna do again? So it's been a long on ramp. And my dad, I kind of like always looped him into like what was going on, but I didn't really give him room to have an opinion on it. And then by the grace of God, him and my mom got back together, and he moved back home in August of last year. And I've really like pulled him along with me on this journey, and watching him and his like own personal conversion and like reversion has been like super beautiful. And I know it's going to be hard for them, but they're so supportive, and it's like awesome. Because like my dad, for the past, when I've been working at the retreat house, I've been bringing him to like volunteer at the retreat house with me, and so he gets to know the sisters. He gets to work alongside them in certain aspects, and so I think it's a little easier, I think, right now for him, because he's had a little more contact with them. My mom has had multiple, like, gone to events and hung out with the sisters like multiple times, but I mean, it's gonna be hard, but they're super supportive. My brother and sister-in-law are also like super duper supportive. My favorite aunt took a really long time to get on board with it, because that same reason of like I'm the person in my generation who is like the bringer together of family, and like what are we gonna do without that? So I think that was really hard to come to terms with. But she is, coming along kicking and screaming. One of my cousins had to like sit her down and was like, hey.
Yeah, it's a feeling of loss.
It is, and you know what, I didn't, well, I did like realize that, I didn't think of like what until recently. Like one of the sisters was talking about it, we were having lunch, she was saying like, yeah, because like for you, for like me, it's going to be everything new. I'm seeing new people, with hanging out with new sisters, learning a new life. But for family, it's just a gap of what was there. And I didn't, it completely like turned the way I looked at it, and like giving my family like way more grace.
Yeah.
So
Like,
yeah.
like myself, I offered my kids, if God calls them to religious life, I'm gonna be happy. But deep down, I'm like, I'm gonna be sad, because that's someone that you hold every single day, and you can, and it's like, it's different than if they move to the other side of the country.
Yeah.
I mean, you can literally fly and say, hey, I'm here. But it's different, even though it's relatively near. There is a difference where there is that separation.
With attachment, yeah.
And I think that's the most difficult thing for parents, is to how to detach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's like another layer to it, in the sense that like my brother and sister-in-law are expecting their first child. So it's the first grandbaby for us, and like I won't be around. Like I can come, because this year is pretty, not like super lax, but there's, a number of freedoms that like we won't have, like when I continue to postulancy. So most likely, like when the baby is born, I can come and like visit for a little bit. But like that's gonna be hard. Like mind you, Arnell, I've been praying for this niece for years. Like I feel like the Lord has like shown her to me, like in a dream, like years ago. Like I know what she's gonna look like. And so like I've been praying for this niece for years, and like there's the harsh realization, like I won't be with them every day. Like I won't, get to see her grow up as closely as I would have if I like, chose a different answered a different vocation.
You won't be the suffocating Thea.
As much as I can try, I really can, and I think I will, in my own way. But like, so that's a little hard. But at the same time, it's like, that's going to be a great distraction for my parents because I'm entering right now in August
True.
and the baby is due like early November.
Very
So, you know, it's like there's a lot of different things going on in the family at this point that it's just like very, I don't know, I think it's providential.
Wow. I mean, there's so many things to talk about in your vocation and your journey, and the choices that you make, and the example that you are for other young women out there who may be, discerning, but don't know whether this is a call. And for parents who are out there maybe watching, and it's like, oh, no, that could be my daughter, but I'm, there are parents out there whose children are discerning, and they're praying the opposite.
Yeah.
Lord, please don't take her.
Yeah.
And it's like, contrary, as you said, there's many people in the pews who say, we need more vocation. It's just not mine.
Yeah.
Don't take mine. But yeah, I'm just, it's hard to find me without words. But it's kind of like one of those things that within our diocese, you're huge. No,
I don't know if I would say
I'm
that.
just saying because of the people. You're very active. You're very vocal. As I said, you enter into the right order, contemplative, and very active.
Mm-hmm.
So great choice. Their win, our loss, maybe both our wins.
Yeah, it was
Because
just both
we'll
your
have
wins.
someone on the inside who actually gets to come outside. But you were mentioning earlier that you wanted to talk about the person who founded your order, because you were just
Yes.
one of the reasons why you chose is you were just so
Yeah.
enthusiastic about who she is. So tell us who that person is.
So our mother foundress is Mother Luisita. Full name is Mother Maria Luisa Josefa of the Blessed Sacrament. When she was born in 1866 in Jalisco, Mexico. Her birth name is Maria Luisa de la Peña. In Jalisco, but specifically in Atotonilco. This is a little hilly town, and she was born to wealthy parents. And her father had already been widowed and no children. So when he remarried Mother Luisita's mom, they also struggled to have children. And when Mother Luisita was finally born, she was a very sickly child. She was the only child for a long time, and she came from wealthy. Her dad owned a lot of land, had a lot of workers, so very upper class family. She wanted to be a nun from a very young age, very very introspective, introverted, quiet girl, and her dad very much tried to pull her out of that shell. But she also when she was growing up, she was kind of a brat, thought she was better than people. There's lots of funny stories about her dad correcting her to set her on a better track, because he's I don't know where this is coming from, but you're not better than these people. Then there was a story of she didn't greet one of the workers when she would ride out with her dad, and he was greeting and chatting with one of the workers, and she didn't talk to him. She didn't even greet him, and her dad says something along the lines of will your tongue fall out if you say good morning? Really correcting her. So she kind of came out of her shell. So when she was 15, she wanted to enter the convent. They said, no, you're going to get married. They arranged her marriage to Dr. Pascual Rojas. He was 30 at the time. And although it was an arranged marriage, and there's a pretty big age gap, it was a very genuine love for each other. It was funny, they went on their honeymoon to Mexico City, and they were visiting a convent, and she really wanted to stay. And it was hilarious because the Mother Superior was because they thought that her husband was her dad, and they're sir, let your daughter, and she's that's my wife, and they're oh no, girl, you gotta go with your husband. Obviously I'm simplifying it a lot, but that's essentially they mistook Dr. Pascual Rojas as her dad, and he's no, this is my wife, and they're oh yeah, no, you have to go home with your husband. But he told her then, you will be back, don't worry. And she was this is ominous, or at least I think that's ominous. I don't know what she thought. And he was a wealthy doctor in their town, Atotonilco, and they never were able to have children. And as frustrating as that is for like a woman of that time, like that back then, like your value was on like essentially having kids. And so he like consoled her by saying like, that's okay, like the poor will be our children. And he was the doctor, and so she would go with him to like his doctor's visits. And the way that it's like spoken about them as a couple is that he would heal the body and she would heal the soul. So she would sit with people and console them and pray with them. And eventually they like founded churches and hospitals because they're quite wealthy. And then after being married for 15 years, so when Mother Luisita was 30 and Dr. Pascual was 45, he passed away very suddenly during Holy Week of that year in 1896. And so she was widowed at 30, super young. And with like the money that she had, she continued to like their charitable works, the hospitals, the schools, the churches, and things like that. And then it is, I'm not going to say it's a rumor, but it's like not a legend, but we don't have like concrete like evidence of it, but it is said that when he was on his deathbed and she was next to him, he told her like, I give you permission to like do your heart's desire, essentially like giving her permission to like enter the convent, what he knows she's wanted to do since she was 15. And so then after her like mourning period, she like sorted out her like money and charitable works. And then in 1904, she entered with, she tried to enter with various other, I think like with a number of convents, but they had like turned her away because she had like some health issues. She grew up like a sickly child. I feel like a lot of saints grew up that way, sickly children. And so in 1904, she entered the Discalced Carmelites. But then a few months later, her bishop called her out and was like, hey, this, like the hospital is going to ruins, being poorly managed, the money's not going where it's supposed to be. Can I ask you to leave the convent and like organize this? Being obedient, she did just that. And I mean, like for something that I forgot to mention a little earlier is that like she was obedient to her parents when she got married and things like that. And so like her obedience to the Lord and wherever she was being like taken was like super, I don't know, like something that I noted, and it's like this is like to have that trust and obedience in God that like he's gonna take me wherever he wants me to be, and I have to trust that. And I'm on his journey.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So Bishop called her out. She organized some things, entered again. Not too long after, she has to get called back out. And that happens a few times. And I think at one point it's just like, we have to figure out a better way to go about this. And so in 1921, she founded the Carmelite Sisters of the Sacred Heart, contemplative actives. Religious, that have their lives rooted in contemplation, but also in active ministry.
So prior to that, the Carmelite order that she was entering into
was cloistered.
Yeah.
Okay. And so when she founded this community, it was to unite the contemplative spirit of Carmel with an active apostolate, to bring in contemplativeness and prayer like into everything that you do.
Is that the first time that's ever happened, or?
I don't know. I'm like not completely sure.
Because I was in Wisconsin at Denmark and went to the Carmelite monastery, contemplative, so beautiful. I got to go to Mass. And the screen and the chanting prior to, it was just so beautiful. And but again, looking at that, it's like, well, that's contemplative. And you're entering into a different order where it's you get to do that, and you get to come out. Yeah. So
have active ministry.
Best of both worlds.
Yeah. And so that was in like 1921, but kind of scooting back a little bit in 1917, anti-clericalism began in Mexico. So the oppression and I'm forgetting the word. The persecution. There we go.
During the Cristero War?
Yeah.
The Cristeros.
And so all that starts. So she's founding a religious community in the midst of this. Wow. And then she is, has a lot of vocations, a lot of like young women entering and joining her, and so and it became just so dangerous though for them to just like live in Mexico and just be religious. If they went out, they had to go in like lay clothes, like in disguises, and nobody could know that like they were having a priest come and celebrate mass for them whenever they could get the chance. Like most of the time, their little tabernacle in their chapel was like empty. Like it was dangerous. And so in 1927, her and two other sisters left Mexico, like snuck out. You know, they dressed in lay clothes and they took a train to LA and they landed in Long Beach. And that's where actually we still have one of our schools
In Long Beach.
in Long Beach, Holy Innocents.
Pause. Just want to make sure. Oh, yeah. We're 36 minutes in.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Almost there.
Long Beach.
Long Beach. So the sisters stayed at the school in Long Beach, and then slowly, and that community, like the priests, I don't know if I wrote their names down. They were so helpful in like welcoming the sisters and providing shelter for the sisters and finding them a house. And so slowly, Mother Luisita started bringing over more sisters from Mexico, and then like establishing like apostolates or like going wherever if a parish needed sisters to teach catechism, okay, they would go. There was something in like either Central California or like NorCal where there was like a new boarding school with a different religious order that was opening up, and they needed like help with like dishes, laundry, cleaning up after the boys. So the sisters went, and they were there for a few years. And Mother Luisita in all this is going like back and forth to and from Mexico. And her health is still not like great, very sickly woman. But her like grit and obedience to be like, okay, if the Lord's calling us to the U.S., the Lord's calling us to the U.S. She was managing like a bunch of different houses and Carmels, like in California and in like Mexico. And at one point she returned to Mexico, like 1929-ish, going back and forth, but then like returned. She eventually passes away, she's older, she's sick. She passes away in Mexico in 1937 on February 11th. So, and then so we were one community in the U.S. and in Mexico, and then in the like 80s, there was a decision to split the communities. So there's the Carmelites of the Most Sacred Heart in Mexico, and then us in Los Angeles. So we are the same foundress, like same family, but separate communities.
Oh, is there a reason why, or is it just because it's two different countries?
I think that was a big part of it. Also, I think it was the decision of like, where should the novitiate be held? Like, some would say like, oh, in California, then next. So it was a lot of, I think
logistically difficult.
Yeah, I think after a certain point, you also kind of become like, unless people are getting mixed around a lot, which I don't know if there was or not. But I think eventually you just become.
So that's a great history, a great story of her life. It's almost like other stories of religious sisters who founded orders and schools, and so is there an attempt for her canonization one day to be a saint?
Yes, actually. So she was declared servant of God in 2008 or 2000, and then she was made. Do I have this somewhere? She was made venerable, I think, in 2008. So right now she's Venerable Mother Luisita.
Oh, a miracle, and she's blessed.
Yeah, and they're investigating some. So, yeah, that's just great. She is like, I don't know. There was just so many things like when I was reading about her life, it was, I don't know. It was just like, okay, I was reading a book about her life, and I was on a vacation in Spain visiting my friend for Holy Week, and I was on a train going from Madrid to Palencia, where my friend was staying, And one of the cities we were stopping in was called Guadalajara. And then as I'm reading the book about her life, she was also making a stop in Guadalajara. And it was literally like, as I read the word, the guy over the speaker on the train in the train was like, "We're now stopping in Guadalajara." And I was like, whoa. And I think just really tied to her in like the immigrant spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm a child of immigrants. I understand like the struggles that she, or like know of like the struggles that she went through in like coming to the U.S., providing for her family of these religious sisters, and yeah, just like great. And I've been reading. The sisters have put out like, I don't know if they're like publicly available, but we have them at the convent, of her like letters to other sisters during this time of persecution, and a lot of them is like written in like code.
Oh, wow.
You know, because if the letters would have gotten intercepted, they would have been like traced. Okay, who wrote this? They're nuns. Like, you know what I mean? So there were a number of letters where she's like scolding some of the superiors here in like in Duarte. You know what I mean? She's like, "I don't know why you did that without my like just real like being so like fiery mother, like Hispanic mom, like, you know." And so growing up, I never felt like super close to any saints. Like I can tell you the lives about like recount you the lives of like many saints, but like I never felt close to any. And it wasn't until I really started learning about like Mother Luisita that I was like, oh, she is my bestie. And that's when like a real love in my heart for Saint Joseph also started to like cultivate, because like he's just been with me everywhere. Like my home parish for 20 years, like majority of my life. And then when I moved to DC, the parish that I went to was St. Joseph's on Capitol Hill. And like just he's been everywhere in my life, and I didn't really realize it until I opened my eyes to him. And Mother Luisita.
Well, I think you picked the right one, because the way I always observed you is very strong leader, very vocal, strong leader. You have that personality in you, and you never know. Maybe you are that person that Mother Luisita is sending there to push forward her cause.
Yeah.
Because I could see you totally doing that.
I have like whenever I'm with the sisters, I'm like, hey, can I like snag a couple of these prayer cards with like her prayer for beatification, and I'm always telling people about her. Like I have such a deep love for her, and she is such a good like friend and guide to me. Like I was reading that book of her letters. So there's a retreat model that we have at the retreat house. Well, it comes from Dr. Bob Schutz and Sister Miriam James Heidlin. They founded this thing called the John Paul II Healing Center, and they have these retreats called Healing the Whole Person. And in April, I prayerfully decided to go on a Healing the Whole Person retreat, because just seeing like how the people who came on retreat at the retreat house, like for that specifically, and like the way that their lives were changed, and they would like share with us about it. I'm like, that is crazy. And like there are multiple things in my life that I feel like I needed like healing with, and so I went on that retreat, and it was like absolutely beautiful. But it was a little weird, because I'm like, I work here, and I'm here for like 4 days not working. I'm just like chilling out. But I like in my free time, I had that book of her letters, and there was like early on in the retreat, I was like, I don't know, like what's coming to mind, like what do I want to focus on in this healing retreat? I don't know, like should I have even come? And I literally opened the book, and the like her quote in her letter was like, the Lord put you there for a reason. Do not worry. Just focus on like the fact that he has put you here. Like something like that. And I was like, Mother Luisita, you're so right. Like, so yeah. And I think also like the tie to like Hispanic culture is very like integrated. Like the sisters are super multicultural now. We have Filipino sisters, we have sisters who are, you know, Korean, white, Hispanic, like all kinds. And like they still do like posadas in Spanish. They still celebrate like Our Lady of Guadalupe, and they'll give like the novices like a really Hispanic name. You know what I mean? And I think that's just so beautiful.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I was like, when you enter, do they give you a name? Do you choose one, or have you?
So first there's like 9 months of postulancy, and then 2 years in novitiate. So when you're a postulant, from what I've heard, you don't have to. You can write a letter to Mother General. Say, Mother, these are like my devotions. and kind of give her like a sense of like what you would like your name to be. And then on the day you become a novice, they like reveal your name to you. But it could, they pray on it, like what name should we give her, or what name does the Holy Spirit inspire. But I could get something that I request, and I could not. Also, it's just up to what the Holy Spirit decides.
It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I have a few picked out, but it's not up to me. I have a few picked out, but it's not up to me. I do know what I want. Like, those are whatever. But I do know what I would like my title to be. Because this is just have their name and then like a title. I would like my title to be like of Christ crucified. I have a very deep devotion to like the passion, and there's something like that's like something that I meditate on like constantly, and it's just I'm like of Christ crucified. I don't know, that just like really calls to me. So who knows? I could get something completely different. It's just whatever the Holy Spirit inspires me.
I love that. I love that. So when you become a religious sister, what type of religious sister do you think you'll be?
How do you mean?
Like, are you going to be more of a person who teaches? Or are you going to be out there in the world, social justice?
Like, what do you think? Like what? Where I'll be like assigned?
Yeah.
I don't know. I could see myself in like different areas, because like I'm a teacher's kid. Like my mom's a teacher, and I feel like that's very like that always checks out. Like if your mom's a teacher, you're a teacher, type deals. So like we have various schools. We have 2 schools in Miami, one in Coral Gables, one in Miami. We have a school in Colorado. We have a school here in Palm Desert, Long Beach, Carson. And I feel like I'm missing one more. I could be missing one more. I don't know if I am.
Duarte?
No, Duarte's not a school.
No?
Duarte is the assisted living facility for elders. We used to have a hospital, but for various reasons, we had to shut some of it down. So now we like rent out the medical office buildings to like private practices. So actually, that is the only one of our current one of our only, because the other one's Long Beach. But Santa Teresita in Duarte is land that Mother Lucita walked on, that she like visited. It started out as a TB sanatorium for orphan girls, and then the sisters ran that. Then it became a hospital, and now we're focused more on like elder care. And then we have the retreat house in Alhambra. We also have a skilled nursing facility in Culver City. But where I would love to be assigned, I don't know if this would ever happen. I would love to be assigned to serve our elderly sisters, because our assisted living facility on Santa Teresita grounds is for lay people, and then we, in a separate facility, we have our elder sisters. I would love to serve our elder sisters.
How many sisters are there in the order?
About 126, 120, 126, that ballpark area.
Okay, that's really beautiful.
Yeah, I would love to serve our elder sisters. I love elders. I think it's because like growing up, my mom and I helped take care of various like aunts who were elderly.
I just imagine the games that you would be playing with them.
They are
the activities.
Funky. They are so fun to be around. And that handmaidens thing that I told you about with like the young ladies, at least once a year they do it at Casa, which are where our elderly sisters are. I can miss any other handmaidens, like no matter where they are. You will never catch me missing a Casa handmaidens. I love our elderly. They have such a special place in my heart.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So what else do you want to say to our listeners out there?
About like anything?
About anything. This is all about you.
I hope not.
It is. The reason why I say that is someone said to me while doing this podcast that it might just be one word that someone says that inspires somebody else to do what what God desires with them. So
I don't know, I feel like if you're you have to discern all vocations. You don't just discern religious life or the priesthood. You discern single life. You discern married life. It's not just like, I'm going to get married. Discern, like, is this the person I'm supposed to be with? Is this the person I'm called to have, like, children with? Like, things like that. And my spiritual director once told me, because I was, I was in the middle of discerning religious life, and there was a young man who came into my life, and I was like, oh, what? And I was like, I hope he's not interested in me. And then my spiritual director called me out. She goes, if you're not ready to be called to all vocations, you're not ready for any. So if I'm skirting away from being a wife, then I'm going to skirt away at some point from being a sister.
Right.
So if I'm not ready for all of the vocations, I'm not ready for any of them. So I think just keeping like a prayerful mindset in everything that you're looking at for yourself in your life. And don't be afraid to like visit religious orders, communities. Don't like try it out. At least you can say that you did. So yeah. Go where the Lord leads you. It's so hard.
So last thing. Who's your patron saint?
Well, my confirmation saint is Mother Teresa.
Mother Teresa.
Yeah.
And if you were one day, when you do become that saint, what would be your patronage?
I think we talked about this before. First generation children.
First generation children, first generation immigrant children?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I feel like we're a very special community. Like you can be first generation, like your family's from Mexico, your family's from Cuba, like mine, or like the Philippines, or you know any other country, and like that experience is like so universal that it's. I don't know if there is already a saint of first generation children, but
yeah, we never got into that, but that is a great topic, because that is a topic that I believe is something that needs to be talked about. With sometimes the divide between first generation immigrants and first generation children. There's definitely that, and especially in the faith, people getting lost in the faith as of first generation children.
Because then it's like, are you trying to? I think it's also that like the balance of honoring where you came from and then also being a part of where you are, and I think that's where a lot of people get so mixed up.
Yeah.
So
the challenges.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can talk about this forever.
Yeah.
Forever. I can hold conversation. Actually, I can just listen to you. Actually, there's only very few people in the world that I can listen to, and people who know me know that I can talk and talk and talk. But there's very few that can hold my attention and I'm just listening, and you are definitely one of them. So if I could say that what your patronage would be, that would be and there's already an orator, a storyteller, but that would be your patronage.
You think so?
Yeah, you're a person who speaks stories, and you already wrote the history book of St. Joseph, so...
Hey, I had a lot of help with that. That was not just me.
Yeah. Stop it. Yeah, it's okay to humble brag sometimes.
I acquired it.
Yeah. So I'm going to borrow that.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to take pictures from that, and we're going to post that on this because I really want to post that picture of you as an altar server. I don't know how old you were, but that was cute. But yeah, I'm gonna miss, our impromptu conversations.
Yeah.
But one day I'm gonna see you in that whole complete brown habit, because brown is a nice color. It's my color. Yeah. So, but it's gonna be beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for coming out.
Yeah, love it. Right underneath, right next to Jesus is present with us. So on that note, fam, thanks for coming and watching the show. This journey is a journey definitely with people in the community, and to learn a little bit more about who they are, what makes them tick, and it just shows the beauty of God's creation and the humans that He places before us. So on that note, thanks for coming on the show. And if you guys have anything, any questions, any comments, please email us at catholic.dad50@gmail.com. And don't forget to like and subscribe. God bless. See you on the next episode. Great. And that has audio.
I'm so happy that it does.
That literally has audio.
Great. I'm so glad.
And I literally have on 2 cameras.
I'm so glad.